Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first Revelation Communication Current Events. Today is Thursday, March 10th, 2022. Man, I don't have anything fancy for you, man. I'm not too good at, creating video and adding pictures and inserting plugins to, the stream or whatever, man. But, man, I'm just convicted to do this new series, this new podcast, if you will, Revelation Communication Current Events. Why am I doing it? Because the reliability of local news outlets and mainstream media doesn't exist anymore. They are not reliable. And in fact, the mainstream media and the local news folks, they are your enemy. And I believe that the more you understand that and the more you know that, the easier it's going to be to listen to news sources and information outside of your 5 o'clock news or your CNNs or Fox Newses. Listen, the sole purpose of the local news and of the mainstream media news is to make you conform to the world, to get you to believe what they want you to believe. Their job is to instill fear, and they do a great job at it. Look at how much fear has been created by the news over the last 2 years. And in my opinion, whether you agree or disagree, unwarranted fear. We have lived in a state of fear for over 2 years that was not necessary. Their goal is cloaked behind manipulation. It's cloaked behind mind control. It's cloaked behind false narratives that are meant to make you believe what you're seeing based only on what they're feeding you. Whatever they're feeding you is what they want you to believe, whether it's truth or whether it's not. Trusted news can no longer be trusted. And listen, I don't want to dive any further into this because I can spend an entire series on talking about how untrustworthy and how fake the news is, but I do encourage you to do this. Research Project Mockingbird. Project Mockingbird. And don't trust what Google tells you, folks. Dig deeper. Dig deep into Project Mockingbird, okay? And you'll find out just how much the media is trustworthy. And listen, while there's still a lot of fake news going around, even in a lot of the news sites that I go to, which I guess can be considered, digital underground news outlets, there are a multitude of digital soldiers, if you will, that spend their days, their hours, their minutes digging for and seeking out the truth, something that the narrative of the mainstream media and the local news does not do. Why? Because journalism is dead. Journalists no longer go and dig for truth. They no longer go and research truth. They are told what to say and they put it on the news. But these digital soldiers, they dig for and they seek out the truth. And I've been following a handful of them for almost 2 years now, really since this COVID narrative thing just wasn't sitting right with me. And I believe that the information I'm going to share on this platform is accurate and true. Listen, I've prayed about this. I've sought wisdom about this. I've sought understanding about this. I've asked for discernment about this. And I believe that what I'm going to share is accurate and true. You know, there have been far too many conspiracy theories that have been coming true as of late to not want to seek out and find the truth. Listen, what was a conspiracy theory 2 years ago was proven true. What was a conspiracy theory a year ago? Proven true. What are conspiracy theories right now? I believe are going to be proven true in the long run. And it's my desire to bring you the truth. As I seek the truth, as I find the truth, it is my desire to share that with you. Ultimately, folks, I want you to know that everything that I do is to the glory of God and Jesus Christ. Jesus is the way. He is the truth, and he is the life. And the scriptures say in John 8:32, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And so with that said, what can you expect from Revelation communication, conspiracy theories, Revelation communication, current events, as the Lord allows me and leads me to speak about things going on in this world. Well, it is my goal to talk about wars and rumors of wars. It's my goal to talk about famines, to talk about pestilences, to talk about natural disasters that are taking place around the world, like volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis and things like that. Listen, folks, all these things are relevant to the scriptures and to the Bible. You know, we're going to be talking about these things that we should all be paying attention to as we see our redemption draw near. You know, this week I wanted to kick off by talking about what's going on between Russia and the Ukraine. And I'm going to spend this first episode talking about that. And listen, I know this is a sensitive subject. War in and of itself is a sensitive subject for many, but there are things that I believe going on that need to be addressed, and I'm gonna use this platform to speak to it and to share it, and you know, I'm open to debate as long as it's professional and courteous and you know, not vengeful or hateful. But folks, again, man, I've sought this stuff out and I've sought the truth out, and I believe wholeheartedly that the information that I've been able to obtain and get and that I'm going to share with you today is 100% factual. Now, I have some personal thoughts about this that I want to share before I get into some facts that I found out about what's going on. So listen, the fact that the entire world is just about against one country, one man, Russia and Vladimir Putin, makes me scratch my head. It makes me wonder why all of a sudden is there all this outlash toward Putin, toward Russia. Why is he hated so much? Why is he despised so much? It's similar to 2016 when Donald Trump won the presidency of the United States of America. There was an absolute uproar around the world, mind you, that this outsider came in and completely flipped the political establishment on its head. The same style hate and things that Donald Trump experienced for 4 years being president of the United States of America, the same behavior that the media had towards him, the same behavior that social media had towards him, and even many countries had towards him, is the same behavior I'm seeing displayed towards Vladimir Putin and Russia. Now, what does that say? I don't know what it says. I will say this. I don't know anything about Russia. I don't know anything about Vladimir Putin as a person. But I will say this, that Donald Trump was the greatest thing to happen in the United States of America since President Ronald Reagan. And that's a fact, and there's no denying that. Look at where we are today, and look at where we were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I'm just going to leave it at that. You cannot debate facts. I know your feelings might be a little different on the situation, but you just can't debate facts. Joe Biden's the worst president in the history of the United States of America, and I'll leave it at that. But listen, the fact that the world is turning its back on Russia and Vladimir Putin makes me wonder, what is it that he's doing that the world hates? Now, again, war is bad. You know, everybody should hate war. But what is it that he's doing that the rest of the world seems to despise and hate and reject? I don't believe Vladimir Putin is the crazy dude the world is making him out to be. Vladimir Putin is a very, very smart man. Very smart. So what's motivating him to go after the Ukraine? Let me start with this. Putin discovered years ago that the Ukraine, after it had separated from Russia, began human trafficking operations that included Russian children. Now, back in 2017, Putin and Trump began to work together to stop that, to stop human trafficking. And let the records reflect that no other president did more to stop human trafficking in this nation and worldwide than President Trump did. That is a fact. The sad reality is that the Ukraine is a huge supplier of adrenochrome. Now, I don't want to get into what adrenochrome is. It's vile and it's disgusting, and how they go about harvesting adrenochrome is absolutely horrendous. But if you want to know more about adrenochrome, look it up. Adrenochrome. Look it up. Listen, and this has all been done under the protective and watchful eye of their pedophile protecting president, Zelensky. Zelensky is a terrible individual. Zelensky is an absolute communist. He's an absolute socialist. He's an absolute Marxist who was brought up under the watchful eye of Klaus Schwab. You want to know who a dirty individual is? Look up Klaus Schwab. Folks, I'm not going to do too much homework for you. This is why I'm telling you, look up people like Klaus Schwab. Look up things like adrenochrome. Look up these things, folks. I'm not going to do a whole lot of homework for you. And a report by Real Raw News that came out on March 8th said that Russian Spetsnaz soldiers have freed almost 35,000 children from over 6 different countries in the Ukraine. Some that were found in DUMBs and some that were found in Biolabs. Now, if you don't know what a DUMB is, a DUMB, D-U-M-B, is a deep underground military base. They are all over the world, and you would be shocked as to how many DUMBs are here in the United States of America. What's even more shocking, ladies and gentlemen, is what goes on in these DUMBs, and it ain't pretty. But over 35,000 children have been reported to have been rescued by Russian soldiers since the onslaught of this Ukraine-Russia crisis at the end of February, folks. Some of them, again, found in DUMBs, some of them found in Biolabs. So let's talk about these Biolabs. What about the Biolabs? This is interesting. Now, if you were paying attention, the Biolabs that at first, when the situation started in February, the United States denied they even existed, have since been proven wrong, because under oath in the recent days, the government has had to admit that there were biolabs that were funded by the United States of America in the Ukraine. If you look closely at Putin's primary targets as escalation in the Ukraine began, if you look at what the primary targets were, it was targeting the locations where these biolabs existed in the Ukraine. There were, I believe, 11 of them. And listen, folks, they weren't creating the next great cereal or the next flavored Jolly Rancher in these biolabs. The United States was funding the creation of biological weapons in these labs. And biological weapons can only be used for one thing and one thing only: mass genocide and mass murder on scales of the millions and millions and millions. Oh, let me ask you a quick question. Where was the COVID China virus originated? Yeah, out of a biolab. Okay, anyways. Listen, Putin knew this. Putin knew what was going on in these biolabs, and he went after them. Under Putin's watch, he's saying, I'm not going to let this happen. I've seen videos, folks, of Ukrainian military at these biolabs at the start of this conflict, literally burning everything inside them so that they could make the U.S. not look like the bad guys. They burned all the paperwork. They burned all the paper trails. They burned all the evidence because they knew Putin was going after the biolabs, because what was going on in them and what was being produced in them was absolutely terrible. They were the first things Putin went after. Also, did you know that Joe Biden's son, Nancy Pelosi's son, John Kerry's son, and the Rhino, Mitt Romney's son, are all on the board of directors for energy companies in the Ukraine? Now listen, if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, folks, it's not a frog. Okay? There's something absolutely scandalous about the fact that we have political leaders' children on boards of directors in a foreign country. Absolutely scandalous. Did you know that Joey Bribes, when he was vice president, held $1 billion from Ukraine unless they fired a prosecutor that was going after his family? Did you know? Oh, and by the way, until earlier this week, the United States was sending hundreds of millions of dollars, and they just passed a bill, I believe, yesterday to send $14 billion in aid to Ukraine, all the while paying Russia tens of millions of dollars a day for oil. They were literally paying both sides. They were paying the Ukraine to fight Russia. They were paying Russia for oil, which again, that money's being used to fight Ukraine. Hello, where is the United States in all this? Something does not smell right, folks. All the while, most of these virtue signalers were dumping Russian vodka out in protest. They were posting Ukrainian flags on their social media pages. All the while, not supporting oil production within the United States that Joey shut off when he had his first day in office. They're all silent about the money being sent to Russia to fill up the gas tanks. You guys are a bunch of phonies that do that, by the way. And finally, the fact is, Russia has every right to defend itself. If the Ukraine joins NATO, NATO will put missiles on the border with Russia pointed right at Moscow. And Putin's not having it. It's just a fact. That's exactly what would happen. If the Ukraine joins NATO, NATO's going into the Ukraine, NATO's going to that east coast of the Ukraine and setting up missiles pointed directly at Moscow. It's a fact. That's just what NATO does. And if I was president and I knew that Mexico or Canada were going to make a move that would put missiles on the border pointed directly to the United States, you want to know what I'm doing? I'm stopping it by any means necessary. I'm not going to put my people, my country, my citizens at risk or in harm's way because another country wants to act like a fool. Putin is defending himself while wiping out some nasty people and some nasty places. It's a fact, whether or not you want to believe it. Listen, I'm just saying, there's more to what's going on between Russia and Ukraine than what's being shared on your 5 o'clock newscast or what's being shared on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC news feeds. There's way more going on, folks. Again, those outlets, the news, they are being force-fed what to share with us. And it's certainly not coming from any actual true journalism and research. Again, look up Project Mockingbird. And I know that war is an absolute terrible thing. War is ugly, and there are displaced civilians that need our prayers right now in the Ukraine. There are people fleeing into other countries because of what's going on right now, and that is absolutely terrible. The sad thing about war is the collateral damage, the innocent, the crisis it creates with those otherwise innocent civilians that kind of, listen, I just want to go on about my day. I don't want to be bothered by this, but yet they're forced out of their homes. I understand war is ugly and it's dark. I want to close today by sharing with you one alarming statistic. The United States of America, since 2001, roughly the last 20 years, has dropped over 326,000 bombs in 7 different countries. And I ask you, for what? For the WMDs that didn't exist in Iraq? For threats to America from third world countries that we've bombed that don't even have a single fighter jet, or let alone the capability to come even close to American soil? 326,000 bombs the U.S. has dropped in over 7 different countries in the last 20 years, folks. If that doesn't make you question what the U.S. is really up to, what those that are in charge are really doing behind the scene, I don't know what can. Listen, there's always 3 sides to every story. You have the good guy's side, you have the bad guy's side, and you have the truth. I encourage you and I ask you just to seek out the truth. That's what I'm doing. And that's why I feel compelled to share this information with you, because it's not what it seems. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this very first podcast and episode of Revelation Communication Current Events. My name is Solomon Stewart, and I'll check you later. Bye.